You are watching Limited Resources Draft Series on MTGO Academy featuring Marshall Sutcliffe.
Hey guys, Marshall here from Limited Resources doing a little vintage Masters draft with you here on MTGO Academy. And we got pretty lucky. We opened up a volcanic island, which I'm sure it's worth some tickets or whatever. Only other card that really jumps out to me is Beetleback Chief in this pack, but there's other good stuff. Don't be. This is the one that really just sort of leaps off the page for me as a really powerful card. But Arrogant Worm and Armadillo Cloak are both very strong as well. Arrogant Worm in a Madness deck is one of the best cards. It's sort of the big payoff. And Armadillo Cloak in the green-white deck is quite good. But I'm going to take the island. But we're going to still sort of figure out where we want to go from there. Well, this pack's a lot less exciting than that one, but we did pick up a Blastoderm, and I'm going to pick it up here. I think Blastoderm's really strong. It generally does a good job. It does have some weak points in this particular set, as if they put out a whole bunch of tokens, you can be pretty bummed out when your Blastoderm just gets chumped a couple of times, maybe gets in once. But otherwise, it's good. I like Grizzly Fate here. Goblin Matron's pretty good. Animate Dead's just okay in this format. We did just pass a Crozen Tusker, which you can Animate Dead, but that still just doesn't really hold up as like an amazing play. But Grizzly Fate's a good value play. And has an incredible top end. I mean, it completely just takes over the game if you can go kind of long and get yourself in the right position. Sure. Take a Basking Root Walla here. I mean, we pass an Arrogant Worm, which is a little bit annoying because somebody's going to snatch that up. But I don't know. I think we can look around and kind of see what we've got going on here. Start off in green and then maybe move out a little bit. All right, I'll take a Fyndhorn Elves here, I think. Predatory Night Stalker's okay. Bodyguard's okay. Tethers is pretty good. There's some stuff that we could take, but I don't really see anything that makes me want to take something over a solid green card like Fyndhorn Elves. All right, here's a Penumbra Worm, which is a huge 6/6 trampler that makes a 6/6 trampler when it dies, which is pretty good, but not great. It costs 7 mana. Even with a Fyndhorn Elves, I'm not too excited about that. Crows and Vorines, okay. It can do some work against some type of decks, and other types of decks it's really bad. Not a high pick, though, and we're in the middle part of the pack, but still, I think I'd rather have like an Exile or a Thopter Squadron instead. Could definitely just take a Thopter Squadron. I'm going to take the Exile here. I think Exile is pretty decent, and if we move over into white a little bit, I'm okay with that. All right, well, I like a Repel, though. I like it better than any of these cards, too, so I'm going to take Repel. And probably going to take this Obsessive Search. Deathblade Elite, Chroma's Blessing are fine. Secluded Step, Provoke. There's just nothing really exciting here. Giant Mantis is just okay. I'll take the Obsessive Search. If we can be green-blue, that would be kind of sweet. It ends up being quite difficult to find that deck, though, because everybody wants to play it. And it's one of the stronger decks in the format, so you usually end up splitting it with at least one other person at the table, and that makes it a lot worse. I'd love to pick up a Lonely Sandbar or a Tangle, but I'm going to take the Rescind here. I want to make sure if we are going to move into blue that we cut blue, even if it's a mediocre card. I mean, I like Rescind more than most, but I still can't put it in any type of top tier. It's not that great. Take the Sorcerer. That's a discard outlet potentially for Obsessive Search, Root Walla, maybe to help fuel our graveyard for a Grizzly Fate. I'm not a big fan of Sorcerer. It's expensive and clunky, but it does get that job done in a pinch. Wow, there's some good cards left in this pack. I think I'm going to take the Sandbar here, but Mesmeric Fiend is quite good. Nature's Lore is all right. Harrier is just fine. Even Tyrant's Choice sees a little bit of play in the right deck, but I'm going to take the Sandbar here. I think picking up a Cycle Land at this point in the pack is pretty ideal. I'm happy to see it. And here's a Tangle or a Nature's Lore. I'm going to take the Nature's Lore here, get some cards in our yard, and it helps gets us up to Grizzly Fade, Blastoderm. We can go like turn 2 Nature's Lore, turn 3 Blastoderm. I like that quite a bit. It looks like we have a little bit of a rampy deck going here with the Findoran Elves and stuff, so yeah, we'll see. That might work out. Oh, I like this. Pick up a Skywing Aven right here. This is very late. I mean, not again, this card is not like a top pick or anything, but that's super late in the pack to pick up an actual playable Thopter Squadron too. But Skywing Aven actually works because, you know, maybe we can find a way to maybe get a little madness going or something. We've got a little bit down here, but we could pick up some other things that maybe make it good. Ooh, Masticore, you say? Wow, and there's also a Lightning Rift in this pack. There's a double Soltari Trooper. This pack's pretty sweet, but nothing compares to Masticore. I'm definitely windmilling it. What a great card. Really good in this format, too. I had a really interesting decision in one of these drafts where I opened a Masticore and Control Magic. One of them was foil, and it was a tough pick. I mean, Control Magic is a tough card to pass, but Masticore's one of the cards that actually gives it a run for its money. I'm curious what you would take. I put up a blog on lrcast.com, one of the posts where you can vote which one you would like. I'm going to take Waterfront Bouncer here. Yeah, very easily. It's one of my favorite cards in this set. Anyway, it's just one of the better cards. And also, you'll notice it says discard a card. So that means that Basking Rawr, Obsessive Search, and then any future Madness cards we get a little bit better too. This is the kind of thing I want to be doing, like this or a Wild Mongrel. Not so much this. Wow. Here's a tough decision. So we can pick up Raphelos and just be a huge ramp deck. We can pick up Prophetic Bolt, which we have a free-ish splash for, or we can take my favorite card ever, Mana War, which keeps us alive, and just does a lot of work in general. Obviously, I think maybe it's not obvious. I think Raphelos is the most rawly powerful card out of these three, and I think it's between Mana War and Raphelos. Prophetic Bolt is really strong, but it is a splash, and these are both just super strong on-color cards that we don't need to fuss around with splash for. Raphelos is really, really powerful. I mean, it helps you power out big stuff pretty early, but I am actually going to take Mana War, not just because it's my favorite, but because when I look at these decks and when I look at the format, making something big early is... It's not like you just win the game once you do that. I've seen that quite a bit where it's like people think that if they make a 5/5 or, a 5-drop a turn or two early that the game's going to end, and it just doesn't. Like, there's enough tools in this format. There's enough tokens. There's enough random blockers and stuff that will get in the way that it just doesn't pay you off the way you want it to. Plus, we've already got Findoran Elves and Nature's Lore, so it's not like we're hard up for ramp spells. I'm going to take Circular Logic here over Ophidian. I want to be able to use some of these discard outlets. Speaking of that, that's the one we want. Roar of the Worm. So we discard it, and then for 4 mana, we get a 6/6. Yeah, it costs 7, but not for us, probably, hopefully. What does this one do? What do you do again, Muzio? Look at the topics. Artifacts. Yeah, that seems really cool, but we can't really do anything with it. So I can take Elvish Aberration to help make sure that we keep hitting land drops and just give us something bigger to play later. I can take another Nature's Lore, but we're probably going to get one of those back. So I'm going to take Counterspell, and we'll probably get back a Tangle or a Nature's Lore, maybe even an Aberration, though I wouldn't expect that. Okay, this pack's just kind of bad and boring all around. I could take a sideboard Claws of Wirewood. I could just take a Giant Mantis. Yeah, I'll just take a Mantis. All right. Here's an interesting one. There's some good stuff here. Even a Thicket down here. Probably just going to take a Basking Rootwalla. But there's another discard outlet with Aquamoeba. In fact, maybe I just want Aquamoeba. Right now I've got Circular Logic, Obsessive Search, Basking Rootwalla number 1, and then I had something else. Oh, and then Grizzly Fate cares as well. And then Chimeric Idol is also just strong. I'll take Aquamoeba here. I do feel like we need some ways to get it. All right, here's that stacked pack from before. I feel like just taking another Repel is probably correct here. I think we're going to get a Tangle out of that other pack if we want it, and Nature's Lore, our dime a dozen in this particular draft. I like Simian Grunts just fine, but Pseudo Removal is probably a little better for us. Cloud of Fairies, you don't really do enough So I'm going to take Crows and Vorine, but I'm not really excited about it, to be honest. I'm probably going to move the Mantis out, though. This deck's getting kind of interesting. All right. So Magic Online did the thing that it's been doing quite a bit to me lately, which is booting me off. I haven't figured out why. I don't know if I missed a pick. I'm trying to figure that out now, but we did get back in time to pick up this Tranquil Thicket that we were hoping would wheel, and it did. And here's number. I think we actually want a Mountain Valley here, just in case we pick up a really good red card. All right, so did I? It looks like maybe we came back in time. That would be awesome. So we've got basically a free red splash here if we do pick up something like a Prophetic Bolt. Ooh, wow. All right, I'm going to click the Control Magic here, but there's some nice stuff. There's a Mana War here too, and an Arrogant Worm. So this pack is just fully stacked up for us, but unfortunately, I shouldn't say that. Fortunately, we opened Control Magic, which is just one of the better cards in the whole set. Doesn't go great against some strategies, but you'll always find a target, and it's always a blowout. So yeah, I'm going to have to take the Control Magic here. All right, we got an Urnum Djinn or an Arrogant Worm. I'm going to take the Arrogant Worm here, I think. Urnum Djinn asks a bit less of us, but we can cast Arrogant Worm easy, and if not, we can Madness it out. And yeah, I want to play an Arrogant Worm here. I like the appeal of the super cheap 4/4 Trampler here. Also, I don't think our deck is super worried about Urnum Djinn. Findhorn Elves, Aquamoeba, Power Sink, Ophidian. These are all reasonable. I really like a draw spell that isn't Ophidian, like something that can really draw us a card, but I haven't seen one. So I'm going to take Aquamoeba number 2 to make sure that we have enough discard outlets in the early stages. I just want to cover our bases and make sure that we have enough going on there. What does this do? Players can't cast spells during combat, flying, target creature attacks this turn. So, oh, that's pretty sweet. Unfortunately, even though we have the free red mana, we do not have white mana, so we can't take it here. So I guess we're just going to take a Cloud of Fairies. None of these are actually good. Certainly not for us. Come on, something good. No, nothing good. Another Lonely Sandbar. I'll take it. It works well with some of our strategies, but overall, it's pretty boring. I really would have loved to pick up a Deep Analysis. That I think is a card that this deck would love to see. It helps out with Masticore and such, but alas, we have not seen one. But yeah, Lonely Sandbars are really good. They help with circular logic. Like, they just sort of, getting random stuff in the yard can really matter. Makes Grizzly Fate better. All right, another circular logic. Get in there. Some interesting things here. I really like a Choking Tethers. I think it does a really good job of either enabling a massive attack on your side or just keeping something off your back while keeping your hands flowing. But my gut tells me we probably just need another Skywing Aven here. That gives us 2 Aquamoebas, 2 Skywing Avens, which are just sort of like, play them. They are immediate discard outlets, and I like that. All right, here's an Ophidian. I'll take it. There are definitely starts that we can have. I can go turn 1 Elves, turn 2 Ophidian, turn 3 Repel, and have our opponent pretty far behind at that point. So that's probably something worth considering. Ooh, sweet. That's lucky. I was actually happy with Rescind, but Arrogant Worm. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Much better. I mean, this card is not great outside of this deck. It's a 4/4 trample for 5. Not exciting, but in this deck it's very good. I'm glad we got that. And here's a Kenai Aven. What does this one do? Flanking, next one damage. Jeez. It's kind of scary. But we're going to take Kenai Aven because we might play it. And I like this pickup here too, a Power Sink. We'll play that. Yeah, take a Provoke. Elvish Aberration, last pick. That's nice too. I mean, that's a real Magic card. 4 cycling for 2 mana, or it just gives you a big fat 4/5 later. That's a little awkward. I mean, they don't do this very often anymore. You see that with like Visara and stuff. Creatures that just really look like they want to attack, but then have this tap activated ability. It doesn't, they kind of went away from that because it gives you this really weird incentive where you're like, well, I want to beat down with this thing, but I'm not really have a reason to, right? It's like, I would rather, or sorry, you're like, I'd like to just beat down with this thing, but then you feel conflicted because you're like, but I can make all this mana, or I can tap to kill a creature or whatever. And it's just, it's not a clean card. It doesn't really tell you what it wants you to do. Okay. So let's see what we got here. I don't know if we want Elvish Aberration, but we might. I don't think we want Kenai Aven though. I don't think we want Voreen. I do think we want all of these. What does that put us at? 26. How good is Ophidian in this deck? We've got Waterfront Bouncer, Mana War, Rescind, Repel, Control Magic. It's medium. I think we can get rid of Nature's Lore here. I think I'd rather run Aberration. I don't know that powering these things out is really what we're trying to do here. I mean, realistically, our curve looks more like this. This is a 5. These are ideally down here. This is, say, here. You know, our curve's pretty tight. So I like maybe just a random Finhorn Elves to help pump out some mana, but I don't know that we need to be dedicating a whole bunch of slots to it. I probably cut the Aberration here as well. We're pretty heavy blue when you look at it. We're going to be hitting land drops hopefully with Obsessive Search. I think Ophidian is one card I could consider cutting here. Rescind is another. Maybe one of the Repels. I like our threats. I like our Counterspell Suite just fine. I like that we can play Aquamoeba, pass a turn, and then just ship the turn back after playing a land, and we can counter something if they play it, or we can just make an Arrogant Worm if they don't. I think I'm going to cut the Rescind maybe. It's either that or the Ophidian. They kind of work well together. I guess I could cut one of my counters, a Power Sink, a Circular Logic, or a Counterspell. I could cut one Logic. I think our deck's pretty good with Circular Logic, though. Yeah, I'll cut the Rescind. All right, and that gives us 3 cycle lands, which is pretty sweet, too. And let's see what Magic Online says. It says 8 and 6. That leaves us with 7 and 10. So that's a 10-7 split. I think that's correct here. It's slightly awkward. Because we've got like an elf that we really want early. But otherwise, if you take the elf out of the equation, the Basking Rootwalla comes usually a few turns later. And look at this. Brick of blue. I mean, we're just heavy, heavy blue there. So, yeah, we'll run it like this. And let's see if we can make this Madness deck work. All right, here we are in the first round. Uh-oh. This doesn't look good. The number of cards remaining in player's library, 80. So it looks like our opponent, my pretty girlfriend, was not able perhaps to submit their deck. So we'll see what happens. This has happened. I've won a match where that happened to me before. Basically what happens is you have to play the first one and just pray, and usually you lose that one. And then you get to have 2 or 3 minutes or whatever it is to sideboard into your real deck. And if you can, if you've got a real deck lined up there, then you can do that. So we'll see what happens here. Well, kids, this is also one way that these often end, is that our opponent is timed out, which also explains why they weren't able to do the deck build portion. So we get a victory in the first round. Yeah, I mean, obviously not ideal for us. I'd rather have played the round and won it, but we do get to advance to the second round, so we'll see you guys there.
Curious about the price of a Magic Online card? Try our searchable price guide on the right sidebar of any MTGOacademy.com page.
All right, here we are for the second round, and we're going to be playing first. Oh, we're playing against Sam Party as well. So we've got a more than worthy opponent. In fact, a Grand Prix winner here on our hands. So we're going to keep this one and just cycle away this obsessive search and then throw a waterfront bouncer down. But going to need to hit some green mana at some point. Aha. So now we know what we're up against at least. I'm not sure how good or bad this is. It's probably not great. Oh, that's a good draw, though. So I'm going to play that instead. And now we can get that Roar of the Worm into the graveyard, and then we're 1 green mana away from making it 6/6, which is great. Is this Paralyzed? Carnophage. All right. I like the deck that he has here, but the Aquamoeba was really just a fantastic draw for us. All right, so let's play Thicket and play Bouncer. And, yeah, this has put us in a pretty nice position here. Now we're going to be able to, well, we've got options. Let's just put it that way. We can Bouncer to get Roar of the Worm in the bin. So our first big decision is, do we block with Aquamoeba? If he has a burn spell, he can finish off our Aquamoeba, which frankly isn't doing a ton right now. If it's Spark Spray, if it's an instant, we can't actually activate Aquamoeba first. We just need to block and take it. Then he lets damage happen, and then he finishes it off afterwards. If that happens, I guess our worst case is that we get rid of Roar of the Worm. But I think we can actually just stay here and just take the 2 damage. We're going to have Waterfront Bouncer active, and we're going to potentially have a Roar of the Worm token on the battlefield here if we want it. There's more of a clock. That's something that we're going to have to start bouncing at some point. All right, this is good too. All right, I think I just want to play the Blastoderm here. And I might even attack. Let's see, if I attack and he blocks here, then I'm happy. If he blocks here, and then he still has Spark Spray potentially and can really blow us out. So I don't think we can really do that. So he's going to start taking damage. And then next turn we get to bounce something, pitching Roar of the Worm, and flash it back. So this should be okay for us. All right, so we don't get that option anymore. But we do get to start whacking him with Blastoderm and Roar of the Worm tokens. So that's pretty nice. Ooh, Control Magic as well. Interesting. I could even just steal Goblin Patrol and just whack him here, but I think I'm going to let him chump block, which is, I'm assuming, what he's going to do here. I think I attack with both. Let's not be greedy here. All right, he's going to take the hit. Yeah, Spark Spray is a little awkward here for sure. Because if I switch to the Power and Toughness, he can just Spark Spray to kill it. which is what I think he has. I'm going to take the most damage from Fledgling Djinn. I think maybe I just steal Goblin Patrol here. We're playing it extra safe, but I think we kind of need to. He's got Kindle for Aquamoeba, and it's going to do 3 to it. So this is a decision point on Roar the Worm, and I think we need to go for it. So Kindle's what he had that whole time. And we take this hit. Yeah. Okay. Okay, we're back. So I have to let the Goblin Patrol die, which isn't too bad for us, really. Because this turn's pretty nice. We're going to attack here. Bring him down to 7. And we get to play Aquamoeba, which is great here. That was a really good draw. And flash back the worm. And now say go. And we just have much bigger stuff than he does. He's also taking damage obligatory here from Fledgling Djinn. Okay, now he's got a chief. Now we're talking business here. Because now he can hit us with that thing a few more times. And he can block with these and then get in a big hit. Potentially. So these are both lethal. They must be blocked. Yeah, I think we just attack with them. He's going to throw a couple of chumps in front. And we unfortunately drew a forest. We're going to lose our Blastoderm. I'm assuming that he sends a team here. 1 team member. So the problem that he has is that the Aquamoeba is also lethal. Because the Fledgling Djinn is going to untap. All right, Mercenary is a good one. And we pick up Circular Logic, which is certainly not the type of card that we really want to see here. And yeah, so attacking with Aquamoeba doesn't really get anything done. So we just have to attack with the worm. He's going to throw the chump blocks in front, and we just say go. So that's a little bit miserable for us, to be honest, but at least we have a counter spell, which should counter pretty much anything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it counters anything. So if this is his attack, we could definitely just win here. Because right now we have lethal. He's got another Fledgling Djinn, but we've got this. So now we just attack with both. You can only block 1. And we discard. And we don't even have to show him the Arrogant Worm, so that's good. So that got a little shaky in the middle. Not sure. Okay. But we were able to stabilize enough to pull it out. I think we definitely want Keenaive in here out of the board. Cloud of Fairies is actually interesting. It trades for some amount of things that our opponent's doing, and that can be good. I think we definitely want Giant Mantis out of the board. I'm really worried about the tutus, the tutu flyers, those type of things. So I think that's what we want to focus on here. So let's go with those two. And then what do we not want? What's bad against him? Grizzly Fate's actually pretty good against him. I think we could probably cut 1 Repel. That seems not amazing. Maybe 1 Circular Logic. Like these purely reactive spells like Circular Logic get a lot worse against these really fast decks because they just sort of dump their hand and your Circular Logics just don't look good anymore at that point. But I like our stabilized plays now. We've got Giant Mantis and Keenaive to help us shore up the board, and then we have easy finishers. Finishers isn't a problem for us. Aqua Amoeba is definitely one of our better cards, though. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. If we can get big. All right, this is an easy keep, I think. We have the turn 2 Aqua Amoeba, which is really important. And now we even have turn 3 Arrogant Worm, turn 4 Masticore, so that's pretty insane. Oh, even better, maybe. Let's see if Aqua Amoeba survives. That's sort of the first test here. And yes, Aqua Amoeba survives. And we get to hit him for 3 and play an Arrogant Worm here. And that is the play. All right, and there's the big Beetleback Chief. So that's going to help him stabilize this board a lot. In the meantime, I think we're probably we're playing Masticore for sure. That's a no-brainer. But I think we can actually keep the pressure on with the Worm because we're going to have Masticore plus Aqua Amoeba. And he might even consider trading off here. Like just trading Beetleback Chief for Arrogant Worm if he doesn't feel like he can race it. Yeah, he's going to go for it. Okay, that's fine by me. Because what I'm actually more worried about is losing to a card like Rites of Initiation, where Beetleback Chief situation gets a lot better. Now we're just in a great position here. Start mowing down stuff. So I think the play here is to ditch Arrogant Worm. Then and pay for it, and then play a land and kill the Douthie Mercenary. Why is this so little? There you are. Okay, we drew a Thicket. That's just going to get discarded, though. And just say go. At 16, I think I'm just going to take this damage. I'd rather leave Regeneration up. I don't think we can lose if we keep Masticore up for the rest of the game. All right, and that helps too, because now I can use it to kill this thing. Okay. So now he wants to use Chartooth Cougar to trade with Arrogant Worm, which seems pretty reasonable. So I think I'll just not let him do that. I'll just repel the Cougar. This is 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we kill him right here. So just to fast forward here. So we attack with all 3. We switch pitching here. And then he takes 1 from his Fledgling Djinn on upkeep. So, all right. So the deck went really well there, obviously. And hopefully it does in the next round too. We'll see.
Love playing Standard on Magic Online? Check out Academy's Standard Bot in the Magic Online Classifieds for Standard singles.
All right, first game of the finals, and we have won the roll, so we're going to go ahead and play first. And I like what I'm seeing here. We're going to keep... We've got Waterfront Bouncer if we think that we need it immediately, but we can also leave up Power Sink depending on what we think our opponent's up to, where if a turn 2 plays, a really big deal. I think with an island up first, we can get to bouncing. I think resolving the bouncer through an island is probably better. There's not a lot of decks that start with an island that are looking to beat us down, where we have to be really concerned about a really early play. Whatever he does on turn 2 probably isn't worth getting power sunk anyway. Plus, I like the idea, after having drawn Ophidian, of running Ophidian out there and then having Waterfront Bouncer plus Ophidian the next turn. Interesting if our opponent plays. All right, they are going to play something here. So we are going to have this Ophidian situation here, which can be very, very nice because we can either, next turn, just bounce their creature and get in with Ophidian. Actually, we can do both. Yuck. Bounce their creature, make an Arrogant Worm, get in with Ophidian. Doesn't seem too bad to me. Okay, well, it's a Mana War in this case. So bouncing it's not really going to get the job done. So I think that leaving up Power Sink and making a Mana War is probably more correct. Making an Arrogant Worm is more correct. Bouncing a Mana War just doesn't really get us where we need to go. In fact, it just doesn't really get us anywhere at all. But with the Lonely Sandbar drawn, I am inclined to just sort of play our land here and say go. I don't love playing into potential counter spells here, but I think this works all right. Another line we can take if we want is to play the Ophidian and bounce his Mana War and end step to get our card back out of it. It still tempos him out. It tempos us out too, but we get ahead on cards, and eventually we'll get there. It's not great. He's going to send in with Ophidian, so that's a reasonable thing to do to start. I mean, with Mana War. I keep getting these mixed up. And this. And he's going to make Mistmoon Griffin to get back Noble Templar if it were to die. No, I think we can just bounce that here. That's actually basically one of the better targets I think we could have found for our play there, because it used up all of his mana. Oh, here's nice too. Now this means that the Mana War does stay down kind of permanently here, though. But under this circumstance, I feel like leaving up Power Sink is nice. We can't play Ophidian and have reasonable Power Sink, so that's not really going to get it done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're actually 1 mana away, if you count the Sandbar and the Fyndhorn Elves, from just playing Roar the Worm and then flashing it back as well, which maybe is a little greedy, though. I think what I want to do is Arrogant Worm attack and just probably do nothing else. Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's just not really any great lines here. Like, I could play Fyndhorn Elves, bounce around Fyndhorn Elves, but then I can't actually flash back Roar the Worm this turn, and that would be the big appeal to that, so that's not a big deal. We're clearly ahead on board here, so I'm just going to try to stay ahead on board here. This way, if his plan is to recast that Griffin, I can just bounce it again. I can counter it if I want. Probably would just counter it, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe if that's all he's doing, then I just keep attacking with Arrogant Worm. Make him deal with that. Mana War's in there. And he's just going to pass the turn. So let's cycle Lonely Sandbar. And he probably has something like Exile here. So I think I am okay. Let's see. I think I'm okay just countering Exile. I can still play Fyndhorn Elves in that scenario and leave up Waterfront Bouncer. I'm happy just to hit you with the thing. It's on him to do something, so. Ooh, I hope it's not Swords of Plowshares. All right, logging back in. Okay, so it's Afterlife. I think if he had Swords of Plowshares, he probably just would have already done it. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Its controller puts a 1/1. So I can make a 1/1. I can bounce my Arrogant Worm. I don't really have a great... Like, I can Skywing Aven it back later. I think I just want to counter this, though. Keeping the Arrogant Worm alive seems really good. I probably should have played this island. Like, I'm trying to leave my extra lands in hand just in case I want them to discard a Waterfront Bouncer at some point. But, you know, like if I had it here, I could Waterfront Bounce my Worm if he responds with Swords of Plowshares or something like that. Seems unlikely, but I think I actually do want all the mana I can get here. So I've got the Bouncer ready to go again if his plan is to play that 2/2 flyer. Looks like his plan is to battle again, which makes sense. Ah, he's got another Mana War. Well, can't lie, I'm pretty jealous. Ooh. A control magic, you say? All right. So what are our options? We've got 6 mana available, so we can go like Ophidian and then, or we can go like Skywing Aven and then make an Arrogant Worm. That seems pretty decent. I don't have enough mana to actually play Roar of the Worm, but I feel like just waiting for one more mana source to just cast it is probably better at this point than pitching it. I can also just control magic something, but these are really not that consequential. So let's just play Skywing Aven here and say go. Now I can make a worm at instant speed. I can block Mana Wars. Interesting. Certainly an argument for just taking this. I don't think I'll go for it, actually. All right, he's going to try to tempo us out here. That's okay. We're going to take the damage here, and we're just going to try to go much bigger than him. So Aquamoeba is actually a nice little draw here as well. So let's play Aquamoeba. which blocks just fine. I think I just want Arrogant Worm on the battlefield here, though. And this way I can block with my Aquamoeba. I mean, remember, we're ahead on board, and he doesn't have that much damage to throw around. All right, Emissary's fine. And Ophidian's fine as well. All right, so now we have officially taken over. And do I want to get rid of one of these things? This Soltari Emissary is definitely going to be annoying going forward. So I think I do want to do this. And another Arrogant Worm. Lovely. Still have 6 mana to work with, so I can do like Arrogant Worm Ophidian, which seems really nice. So I think what I'll do here is attack with my Arrogant Worm. If he double blocks, I'll just let it happen. Actually, I could even Waterfront Bounce. He doesn't really have a great... I guess I can't really Waterfront Bounce a Mana War, though. If he double blocks with Mana Wars, that's fine. Just clear him away. Get him out of here. He does not. Play an Ophidian, say go. Now I've got 2 1/3 blockers here that I can use. Okay, that I think I'm going to steal. Oh, he didn't tap his mana very well, though. Because remember, I bounced his 2-drop. I'm assuming he'd like to recast that this turn, along with this. But now he can't unless he's got it. I think that was actually a tilt concession. But in reality, we were in a really good position because he didn't even know about the Arrogant Worm or the control magic that was incoming. Okay. What do I want to do about this? Manowar.deck. Besides just be very jealous. Something like Giant Man, or actually probably Kenai Aven might be good against a bunch of 2/2s. Though I'm looking at it, and I actually just don't think we have that much trouble against 2/2s anyway. So I'm actually not going to change that. Thopter Squadron, not so much. Bouncing, eating. Do we see anything? No. Rescind isn't good against Manowar. No, I think we just run it back. I think we just try to manipulate, like try to use what we had. Oh, you know what? The one card I should have probably taken out is Roar of the Worm. We've already seen 2 Manowars and a Rescind. That card gets a lot worse. I mean, it's only one card in our deck, so it's not a huge deal, but we probably should have pulled it. Got a mulligan this one. Some nice cards there, but just not enough colors, and that's keep that I'm not excited about. And I just got a lot more excited about it. No play, no play. Trapper. Interesting. And probably get to power sync something here. Trapper's interesting, though. Yeah, we're going to power sync that all day. That's the kind of card that we can stop, but if he follows it up with some number of Mana Wars, then we're kind of just done for. Skywing Aven or Aquamoeba? Skywing Aven or Aquamoeba? This is actually really interesting because Skywing Aven's much better to just have on the battlefield at this point. It attacks better. But Aqua Amoeba lets us untap and play an Arrogant Worm, where Skywing even lets us do that too, but also charges us a pretty steep fine of having to replay the Aven at some point. Yeah, I'll go for the Aqua Amoeba here. All right. And we just say go here. He's going to tap down our Aqua Amoeba. And we're basically going to force him to keep mana up to tap down our Arrogant Worm because he wants to attack with this. That. And we'll let him. I mean, we can't really do much about it, but... Oh, he's got a counterspell. Oh, he's got Gush. Wow, that's aggressive. All right, so then he taps down our guy. But now we have two good blockers, and it's going to make it hard for him to keep attacking. Also, he just threw away his... Well, maybe not threw away, but he just got rid of his whole mana base there. Repel is interesting here. And here comes the Mana War train. Okay. So the Mana War is a big swing back in his direction. Ooh, that's an interesting draw because we were kind of bluffing that last turn. And now we actually have it. But now we just have to say go. I mean, he knows that we're going to Arrogant Worm here, so... Yeah, I don't think we can beat that, so we have to counter it. He's going to need a third white creature to be able to untap it, and he doesn't get to attack this turn, so this actually works out pretty nicely for us. Tap it down. Bouncer. Bouncer's interesting. Let's see, so what's my plan here? Repel this, make him recast it. Or I can play Bouncer and Skywing even. I think I'd rather do that. They're just all blockers, basically. It's going to get complicated. Now I can flashback Battle Screech too. All right, well, we're officially way behind. I think we can cycle this. Whew. May have just officially caught up. The question is, can we survive the next turn? Because if I can play Masticore, he taps down Worm, but like these are 2/2s. This thing's a 3/3. I can block. He can Waterfront bounce. I guess he can just Waterfront bounce the Masticore. I need one more mana to be able to play Masticore and kill his Waterfront bouncer. I also need one more mana to be able to Waterfront bounce his Waterfront bouncer and play Masticore. So I'm definitely short here a bit. Really don't want to use that Repel out of my hand now because I need to draw an extra card and I'm sort of living on the edge with Masticore there. But it might be something that I need to do here because he's going to hit us for a ton of damage. So pretty likely I just need to bounce this. All right, yeah. I'm going to have to bounce Piana here. I thought he would tap something down first. That's why I let him go to his turn. I thought he would try to get Arrogant Worm out of the way or whatever. Interesting. So he's going to basically counter my Repel by using his Waterfront bouncer right now, which is not terrible for us. All right, I'm going to block. And I'm actually going to trade off for a token as well. I don't like doing it, but but once he gets Piana back down, I'm not going to be able to have those options anymore. So if I'm just going to block a bird next turn anyway, I might as well just kill it now. Yes, that happens. Root Wall is kind of sweet. Not sure if we're dead here or not, but can probably Waterfront bounce here. Let's stop on my upkeep just in case. He's going to tap the Worm. So we might have to give up the Masticore here. We get to get the card back with Basking Root Wall anyway, but he's going to bounce the Masticore now. All right, right, so he bounces Masticore. Puts him to 2 cards in hand, but forces us to bounce Piana here. And we are in a terrible position. Have to take 3 here. So if we draw a land, we can play Masticore, cast it, hit Waterfront Bouncer. On our upkeep, we can shoot down this and this, or Piana. That changes things too, though. Yeah, this is just getting out of control. All right, so we don't have anything here. Tap Bouncer. He's going to tap the Bouncer right now. Yeah, I don't think there's anything I can do about that. I'm not going to discard Masticore. All right, so we kind of got there. So let's go Masticore. Kill this. Say go and see if we survive. We might not. There's definitely going to be some chump blocking here. So ideally what happens is we untap, and then we have to discard a card, but Masticore is going to die, but we do get to use the ability with all that stuff on the stack. So we can kill this and this. We can do 3 damage, basically. We can kill that and that, or if he replays Piana, we can kill this and Piana. I don't know which one's more important, but right now we're going to die to this whale and this bird quite quickly as it stands. So, yeah, things not looking great for us here. I mean, I do have a Waterfront Bouncer still, but I won't have the mana to kill all of that stuff. So, yeah, we'll just have to see what happens here. Right, we knew that. 1 card left finally? Okay. Okay, so let's start killing things. Okay, so we can only use... We can hope to draw an island, I suppose, but we can use this at least twice and still leave Bouncer up to bounce this thing. That's important. So let's kill this, because that will kill us. And now he's going to tap down our Bouncer. And that should be game. So that thing dies. Yeah, so he can just make the killer whale have flying. So I think we probably just have to go here and just hope that we draw something that interacts with killer whale. Because we're just dead to that card no matter what. So none of these other things really matter. Yeah, I think we're just dead no matter what, to be honest. Because let's say, because even then he still has the trapper. I guess I could draw another repel. Yeah. And it's an island. Let's say go. Yeah, this is a tough one. This has been a hard game. All these tempo plays on his side have been rough to deal with for sure. All right. So what can we do about this? The giant mantis probably wants to come in. We've seen enough flyers out of him that this thing blocks now that it's probably decent. And let's get the Roar of the Worm out like we talked about before. All right, we will go first. And even though we have a lot of our best cards, we have to mulligan. That happens all the time, though. And we will be keeping this one. Need a little bit of... need a little velocity here. You know, like just this hand on its own doesn't really quite get us where we want to go. Need some cyclers or something along those lines. All right, you made a bouncer. Oh, that's a good draw, though. And I'm going to play Mana War. Get your bouncer out of here and kind of make your bouncer a bit worse. But it's back. And I think I just attack here. And make a mantis. So there you go. These, of course, not currently doing anything. Now they do. So I can just steal the Miss Moon Griffin, but then he can just bounce it back to his hand. I can use this opportunity to just steal Waterfront Bouncer. But given how many Mana Wars and stuff he has, I'd kind of rather leave that for last. So what I think I'm going to do here is cycle this Lonely Sandbar so that I can play Circular Logic and actually have it do something maybe. And then probably just battle mode it here. He's not getting any value out of Miss Moon Griffin if he trades it off here. So I think I like just keeping the pressure going. We can counter a 5-drop, like if he tries to go for a whale here or something. What is he going to do, bounce something? Oh, he's playing another bouncer? Holy smokes. Actually, I think the second one's just like not that good though, right? Like he just rips through his cards too fast to really make it effective. Like being able to bounce two things is really good, but since neither of them particularly affect the board, it's probably not great, although our control magic looks pretty crappy at this point. It basically just says discard a card. Can't really bounce our Mana War effectively, so yeah, this could get interesting. Rescind. Take an opportunity to get one of these Circular Logics out of our hand. Sure. So if I control magic his Miss Moon Griffin, if he decides to leave it back, basically it makes him discard a card, and it just creates a huge tempo play as opposed to like the normal straight up 2-for-1, which is, it's okay. It's less exciting. I'll say that, but. All right, here's Noble Templar. And I am going to go ahead and and steal that. Goodness sakes. All right, we're back. But yeah, so we're taking this. And probably just going to steal the Noble Templar and hit him for 4 and make him use that bouncer. He's going to have a hard time replaying it because he floated mana off of Gush. But he did pick up a couple extra cards, so he's got quite a few of them in his hand to use Waterfront Bouncer with. Okay. I like that. Really? Does he get one of those back if he throws a Miss Moon in front? I mean, I feel behind here. Like, obviously we're ahead on the damage ray situation, but he's got all the tools. I'm a little light on tools over here. Yeah, so that does work. Man, I wish I could get this into play and still have circular logic up here, but I can't. So now he gets to play Radiant, bounce this thing, and be in a pretty good position here. So, man, we just have to draw well. Fidian's not that good. So I get to circular logic the Templar, but then I have Radiant to deal with, and Radiant's a big deal. It's going to chop our life total up pretty quickly. I do get to double block here potentially. All right, well, we'll just get rid of this, I guess. All right, well, now Radiant can't attack. I guess Radiant can. Stupid Benevolent Bodyguard. I think I still double block and make him use the bodyguard. Yeah, because it'll shrink Radiant down to a 3/3 anyway, and it'll basically just save both creatures. Man, my clock is low because I disconnected those times. Also, these games have been complicated. But I don't think Ophidian's getting through anytime soon here. Maybe wrong about that, but... Finally got our opponent down to 1 card in hand, so that's nice. Give it pro green, so we just do this. And then Radiant shrinks, and we get to keep our Mantis and our Aven, sort of. So, we'll see. We need something pretty sweet here, though. That is definitely pretty sweet. That's a nice rip right there. My bodyguard will take that Mantis. I don't think so. Mantis lives. Eating Pegasi, it looks like. Nom nom. So our plan right now is to waterfront bounce Radiant and start getting in with Giant Mantis and hope that our opponent doesn't have some other great play to make here. That definitely doesn't count as a great play to make. And what is our opponent's plan? To bounce Bouncer. Okay. And start doing nothing, though? Yeah, this doesn't really get them that far. So I think I can play both here. Because I'm not bouncing yet anyway. And then bounce and be able to attack in the air as well is a big deal. All right. Yeah. I'm just going to take the chance in F6 here. After my opponent's attacked anyway, I can't really do anything. Yeah, looks like he might... No, he's going to try to race. Okay. Let us do that. I like that. Discard with the old madness ability there. Play this thing. Get that thing out of here and engage in battle. Can waterfront bounce if he wants to get rid of Radiant, but I feel like that helps us more than it helps our opponent. All right, go. I've got Root Wall that can beat down too. That was actually a pretty nice draw because Root Wall is lethal. Lethal, lethal, lethal. And I still have my Bouncer active. Interestingly, my opponent also only has 2 planes, so activating Emissary and casting Radiant isn't going to happen, which probably doesn't matter because I'm still at 12, but you never know. This is 3 swings with both of these creatures and I'm dead, and it doesn't take a whole lot. You know, a Mana War off the top here, activate this thing, you know, there's you know, plus a waterfront bounce activation or whatever, and things can slip away pretty quickly when they've got 2 shadow creatures. But in the meantime, the ball is firmly in our opponent's court here. Afterlife or Aven? Sure. I mean, it's a downgrade, but that's fine. Arrogant Worm now? Geez, how good do I run? Let's attack. I guess I could have just bounced Emissary. I still can. But I don't see a big reason to. I'm swinging for lethal here. So my opponent must bounce something. Probably the Spirit token because it just kills it. Bounce the bounce. Bounce the Mantis, right, of course, because that's lethal. Okay. All right, so this makes sense. I'm bouncing the Waterfront Bouncer because it keeps my Baskin Root Walla alive. It also gets me the Arrogant Worm right now, and his Waterfront Bouncer in his hand plus Radiant or whatever just doesn't do anything. I guess he discarded Radiant, but the Waterfront Bouncer here just doesn't do anything. It's just a 1/1 for 2 because it's going to have Summoning Sickness, so it won't actually affect the board positively because of my Arrogant Worm, which I now have because I did that. And then keeping the Basking Root Walla is just another lethal threat. He has to deal with every single one of these creatures. Didn't draw your Wrath. I'm sorry. All right, we got there. That was sweet. Our deck was fun. A lot of good interactions there. Tough deck to play. I'll admit I've only played this deck. This is, I think, the third time that I've had what I would call an actual Madness deck. And I didn't play back in the day when those decks when that deck was a thing in real limited. So it's interesting sort of figuring it all out, and of course wrestling with the fact that it's on Magic Online too. It makes it more interesting. So anyway, that was really fun. And I'd draft that deck every time if I could. It's just really hard to get. But as you can see, when you do, it's really sweet. And Masticore didn't help. Plus, remember when I talked about Masticore and Control Magic? Well, I got both this time. I guess that's even better. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. If you want to send an email for feedback, lr@lrcast.com. If you'd like to follow me on Twitter, my name is Marshall_LR. You saw how to join the clan. Just send me a message. The only rules are that you got to love Magic and you can't be a jerk. Very simple. For all things limited resources, lrcast.com. Guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week.